All right. Good morning, Ms. Gonzalez.
Good morning.
Ma'am, you're charged with terroristic threat of a family or a household member. That takes it up to a Class A misdemeanor, so you were facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do
Let's pause for a serious reality check. Threatening a family member isn't just emotional drama. It's a legal landmine. In Texas, that's officially considered a terroristic threat against a family member, which is a Class A misdemeanor. That kind of charge can land you behind bars for up to a year. So if you think it's just a heated text, think again. It could be the start of...
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, ma'am. Okay.
Judge, on March 20th, 2024 in Harris County, Texas, officers responded to a terroristic threat call. The complaining witness and the defendant are sisters, and complaining witness say the defendant is not allowed to go into a residence. The complaining witness's son mistakenly let the defendant and her husband in, and they drank the beer. The complaining witness texted the defendant about her being in the residence. The defendant responded with threatening messages that said the defendant will slap CW and show up at, slap the complaining witness and show up at the complaining witness's job. The complaining witness stated she feared for her safety.
Now here's the million-dollar legal question. When does a threat actually become a crime? The judge breaks it down. Unless the threat involves serious bodily harm, it might fall under protected speech. But let's get real. If someone texted you saying they were pulling up to your job to slap you, are you chalking that up to free speech? Didn't think...
What the hell does that mean? It's got to be serious bodily injury, man. Or
Yes, Judge.
are we putting everybody in jail now for whatever?
Judge, that's really all I have.
Statute. Okay, what was it said exactly again?
Judge, the message that the defendant sent to complaining witness states exactly, bitch, don't talk out your ass because I will go to your house and slap you in front of your family. I'll even come to your job.
That's not imminent serious bodily injury. Come on. All right, I'm going to find no probable cause. Ma'am, as the old adage says, sticks and stones, right? Words will never hurt. They actually can. You have to be careful what you say, who you say it to, because it could end you could end up in hot water. I'm going to find no probable cause in this case. The idea also is that if you don't have a good relationship with someone, it's probably best not to just inject yourself repeatedly in there because you're asking for trouble,
Right.
I mean, you now know. All right, man, please. Just be careful, all right?
Your Honor, I'm filing dismissal.
Thanks. All right, ma'am, your case is being dismissed. If you want to copy the dismissal, you're free to wait. Otherwise, you're free to go. Okay. You are on...
With the slap threat out of the spotlight, the courtroom veers sharply into new territory, a DWI charge, and not the defendant's first. This is their second time in the hot seat, and the judge has clearly had enough. His tone signals zero tolerance, and it's obvious a hammer of justice is about to come down hard.
DWI, and you've now picked up a new DWI. Sir. You were charged again. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. On April 24th, 2025, in Harris County, Texas, law enforcement officers were dispatched to a crash. The law enforcement officers spoke with a complaining witness who stated he had gone to the bathroom and heard the defendant crash into the bus. The complaining witness was the bus driver. The complaining witness estimated the damages to be $1,000. Another witness saw the defendant strike the bus, get stuck between the bus and another vehicle, and then exit the driver's side door and try to push the vehicle out. The witness stated after another individual told the defendant they were calling the police, the defendant fled. Another law enforcement officer was alerted to the incident and found the defendant, who matched the description given. A witness was able to identify the defendant as the individual driving the vehicle that struck the bus. Another law enforcement officer made contact with the defendant who stated he was coming from an Astros game where he drank. The law enforcement officer observed a moderate odor of alcoholic beverage, glossy eyes, and profuse sweat from the defendant. The defendant refused to cooperate on standard field sobriety tests. The defendant refused to provide a specimen. A blood warrant was obtained and executed.
Mr. Gallegos, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with the case. I am now taking away your privilege to drive. You are not allowed to drive at all. Do you understand me?
Yes, sir.
On one ankle, I'm going to put a scram monitor so I know that you're not consuming alcohol. On your other ankle, you will get a GPS monitor, and I'm giving you a curfew because I don't want you out in the middle of the night. And if I find that you're out, I will revoke your bond and make it extremely high. He's on bond for this DWI.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
revoking his bond. You're going to jail today.
Right now?
Right now.
Okay, as far as the monitors, can we waive
So-
the fees?
Absolutely, of course.
Can you give my stuff to my mom?
Yes.
So these are conditions. We'll have him sign now. The GPS monitor prior to release.
Are you setting the bond to him?
Of course. Mr. Gallegos, I want you to understand something. This is an affidavit that you're going to sign for me, that you're going to promise to me you're not going to drive. I don't give a rat's behind what your excuse is. If Jesus comes from heaven and needed to ride to church, you drive. I can have a contempt hearing. You can be facing an additional 6 months in jail and a $500 fine every time.
Then comes a courtroom mic drop. The judge, fed up with excuses, delivers a brutal one-liner. If Jesus need to ride, walk him. Translation? They've heard it all before. Once ankle monitors, ignition interlock devices, and strict curfews enter the conversation, it's crystal clear. The system's not here to negotiate. It's here to enforce.
Do you understand?
What's that on the bond?
I am now also sending notice to DPS that I'm placing a restriction on, you're not allowed to drive, but I'm placing an additional restriction on your license that you are not allowed to drive any vehicle that doesn't have an ignition interlock on it. This notice is sent to DPS so that every single officer in the state knows that if you are in a vehicle driving, they pull you over, you don't have an interlock, they will take you to jail. Do you understand? As it stands, you are not allowed to drive for any reason. Okay, we'll have him sign this. We'll put him in back. I'll set the bond and then,
Take my card here and
Look, to start moving around, we'll handle this one.
All right, Judge.
get whatever date you want on the new cases. When he posts bond on the old case, feel free to get in touch with him and then you can put the date
Just
for
one
whatever.
together.
Yeah,
What are
He-
you setting the bond at? I'll tell it.
5,001.
5,001.
cases or just legal?
He just, no. The two new ones, I'm not gonna touch. I'm gonna leave it as is. He's made a bond, so we're only gonna do the old DWI, 5,001. Actually, we're gonna need, he signed conditions now, so when he gets out, he'll have, yeah,
Okay.
because we'll give him a copy of the conditions now.
Okay.
So they just feel free to let her, whatever date you get,
Okay.
after he
And then
gets out, just
it's
get, yeah.
Just when you think the drama can't get any thicker, in walks Miss Chase, facing assault charges and staring down the barrel of a possible lawsuit. This moment is courtroom gold. The unspoken message? Choose your battles wisely, or you're either catching a bullet or...
Ms. Chase, you're charged with assault, bodily injury. You and the state have been unable to reach an agreement. In this life, you never know who you're going to run into. You get into a fight with the wrong person, they're going to shoot your ass dead. You get into a fight with the wrong person. This society is extremely litigious. They like to sue. They like to get money. And I mean, who doesn't want money, right?
Right.
So when you run into the wrong person and you get into a fight with the wrong person, it could really cost you dearly. And as you now know, these people, they now have a lawyer.
One of the family members was a lawyer. That's what I was explaining, Judge. So she didn't call the cops
Same.
that day. The cops went to the law office the next
It's
day.
very possible they're waiting for the results of this to come after you in a civil way. That's why you have to watch out what you do, who you get in contact with. If you're lucky that you're not going to get shot, you're going to get unlucky that you're going to get sued, They're going to squeeze you for every dime. That's why you have to be careful. So what do you want?
I mean, ideally, I'm asking for a deferred and a no contest plea if the court would take that.
I don't know about a no contest plea, but I'm certainly willing on the deferred, right? So you're charged with assault. You've not been able to work an agreement. Would you like to come to me for us to punish you as opposed to the state? Because you've been unable to work an agreement.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Sure.
yes.
So your other option is if you don't want to accept, then you can go to trial. That's the other option that you have.
No, not at
So,
all.
okay. So, are you guilty or not guilty of this offense, man?
I'm guilty.
Okay. I'm not going to find you guilty. What I'm going to do is I'm going to withhold that finding for a year. I'm going to place you on a probation that's called deferred adjudication.
Okay.
This is a type of probation that you give up nearly every right known to man by entering into it, meaning that you cannot fight this underlying case after today. We're putting you on this probation. If you successfully complete it, you do not end up with a conviction on your record. But you cannot tell people it was dismissed. It doesn't get dismissed. You take a probation. If you complete it successfully, you don't end up with a conviction. Do you understand the difference?
Yes, I do.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to order you to undergo anger management while you're in this probation. You're to do an effective decision-making class. You will also do what's called a TRAS. This is an evaluation to see what other conditions you may need. If they assess other conditions, you must fulfill them. No weapons and no contact with the complaining witness in this case.
You'll live 2 years after you're done.
Okay.
Now, if you're going to be driving, you must have a Texas driver license
I have.
and you must maintain liability insurance as well. Car insurance. You have to have car insurance. That's another thing. I get emails all the time where I have people asking me for help because they get into an accident and they're getting sued for $50,000 and they don't know how to go forward. They now are required to go hire a lawyer and fight this lawsuit because they got into a car accident and they damaged someone's Benz. That's why you have car insurance, so that if you get into an accident, you have the company there to represent you and take care of it. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so proof of financial responsibility.
I have a license, but I don't have a car anymore, so I don't have
Okay.
insurance.
Well, if you get a car, you're in.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And she doesn't currently have a car, Your Honor. I'm just letting her know that
Yeah.
she gets it.
If at some point you do get into a car or you have one, even if you're borrowing someone else's car, you cannot unless you have insurance. Okay, so ma'am, what I'm going to do now, you're giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers, the right to be arraigned, charge read in open court. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. So once you accept this agreement, you are now entering into a contract with us stating that you will successfully complete this agreement. If you do something to violate this agreement, like you pick up a new case, you don't do your classes on time, I'm going to issue a warrant for your arrest. We are going to have a hearing and you're looking at an entire year in jail.
And finally, we wrap with a lesson in deferred adjudication, a kind of legal limbo. It's a second chance, but one that comes with conditions. Stay in line, and you dodge a conviction. Step out of bounds, though, and that grace evaporates fast. The law might show mercy, but don't ever forget, it still bites.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
You still want to do this?
Yes.
Okay, man. I'm going to sentence you to it. Good luck to you.
How many months is the term, Your Honor? 12 months. Okay, perfect.
Just a year.
Okay.
And if you do well, you get everything done quickly and you're nice to everybody. You know, these probation officers, they have a really just tough job. They meet with the worst of the worst. They deal with excuse after excuse. So if you want to get a nice one, be the first appointment, be the first one there, be happy, crack a joke. You don't have these people eating out of your hands. But if you go there at 4 o'clock, they've dealt with excuse after excuse, a-hole after a-hole. They're probably going to be in a bad mood. And if you're in a bind and you go up there unhappy, it's not going to go well, right? Good luck to you.
Okay. Appreciate it.
And you're done with court, I think. Okay.
Okay, Greg.
Yeah, you're going to wait for the big.
I'll probably talk to you in a few.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, good luck, man.